Hello, 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 everyone. This is Anthony from the PS Blue podcast, and I just wanted to give you guys a couple quick updates before we get into this episode. So, first and foremost, don't forget, episode 20, we are giving away a $20 PlayStation gift card. You have to be a subscriber, and you have to find the secret phrase somewhere hidden in the episode. So, that's in a few weeks. Next, I wanted to also say that we've been uploading every single week, but I've been sick. You can probably still hear it in my voice a little bit, so I haven't taken in the time to upload as I usually do. So some of our topics might be a few days to maybe a week outdated, but we generally do a nice job of getting ahead of the curve anyway, so it shouldn't be too big of an issue. Finally, this recording, episode 17 that you're about to listen to, something happened with our application that we use to record remotely, and I had to use the backup file as the main file. So there's some post-processing editing that I like to do for each of our tracks. I wasn't able to do that. There's some dips here and there where you can't hear particularly my voice every once in a while. Long story short, this is a one-time thing, and you shouldn't have to worry about it again. Fingers crossed. Without further ado, get ready for episode 17 of the PS Blue podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the PS Blue podcast, available everywhere. This is episode 17. As always, I'm joined by Vinny, my cousin and co-host. How we doing today, Vinny? It's been a little bit longer than usual.
I was just going to say, man, it's been a little while. It's been a couple weeks since we've last spoke. I'm doing really well, man. What about yourself? You doing all right?
I'm doing good. I just, gearing up for what we've already discussed is going to be a very big couple of months, couple of weeks, I think, into a couple of months, which is usually how the holiday season works. You know, it starts off like, oh, there's this game coming out, and then there's this game coming, and then out of nowhere, it's bam, 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 just games, which I am very excited for. For now, though, I've been playing Demon Souls. I'm still on Demon Souls. It is the more I play it, the more I love it, and it's turning into one of those games that is becoming a total surprise. Like, I knew the original was good. I never beat it, but I didn't realize how good it is and how good it could have become with that art direction from Blue Point. So, I mean, we're going to talk about it in a second here in the quote of the week. Spoiler, but what have you been playing, Vin?
Let me ask you a quick question. How far are you into Demon Souls now? What's
I'm getting pretty far.
there?
Yeah, I think I'm level. I got to be in the 70s by now, so I'm getting pretty far, and it's hard. A lot of people say it's the easiest. Some people say it's one of the harder ones. I feel like it's so relative with those games.
Yeah.
Everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and some people think Sekiro is really, not too bad, and some people think like that one was one of my hardest games. Demon Souls, because of the variety of bosses, and there's like certain things about the level design in Demon Souls that is not intuitive, I would say. Like, for example, you don't have a bonfire or whatever they're called archstones in this game. You don't have one right next to a boss fight. So, which is the case with some of the games. You have to run through a couple of areas to get to the boss fight, but there is some really obnoxious routes that you have to go through for certain boss fights where it's like, this is so infuriating just to get back to the boss fight. Yeah. And then you get to the fight and you walk off a ledge by accident. You got to do it again. And it throws you out of the game. You know what I mean? So a game developer's job, other than making creative and fun to play, and sometimes with a compelling story, I feel like another job I don't realize their job is to keep you involved and engaged in the game, so you play it and play it and play it. And part of the gameplay loop in Demon Souls, in particular, is a little hindered because of level design and because of the difficulty factor that they were going for. Which, as someone who is obsessed with these games, also makes me that more intrigued. Because it's like, oh, I can't stop playing this. I can't stop playing this. Oh, this game's so freaking hard. but if I beat it, how accomplished I will feel if I beat this area that I'm stuck on. So it's it's a push and pull.
Let me ask one more question, because this is a game on my back burner that I want to go back to. So forgive me for asking you questions on this, but how prevalent is farming in Demon Souls? I feel like it's as From Software has gone on, like Elden Ring in particular, you can farm and just get crazy high level. You know what I mean? Like, is there a farming element to this game? I know some of their games there isn't. I know Sekiro didn't really have like a farming element. It is? Okay. I was just curious. I didn't know. Mm-hmm.
So there's this one area. I think it's like the second stage of one of the I don't know. I think Archstones is the name of the, I don't know. I always call everything bonfires and worlds. That's really all. So one of the worlds is I think it's the second Archstone that you get in the world. There's this really good farming spot, and if you hit a brick wall, you can just spend an hour, put on your favorite podcast, the PS Blue podcast, and farm. Just keep farming. And there was definitely a section of the game where I farmed it, and then this is a whole new dynamic for me. I'm a cocky Souls player now because I've played so many of them. I'm like, I'm not going to die here. It's fine. I've wasted hundreds of thousands of souls saying that. Like, damn. I'm not going to die here. And then dying. Yeah. So, but it's an absolute pleasure. Shocked at how much I like it. I knew I was going to like it. I knew it's, a really good game, but it's so good. Like, so good. And it's so much more advanced in the genre than I thought it would be. Does that make sense? I thought there would be some crude elements to it here and there, but it's a Souls game. If you've played,
there's nothing that's like really outdated. It all feels still relatively good. Yeah.
Like I said, the only thing that feels a little outdated to me in this genre that this game effectively created is the level design. Some elements of the level design are not great. There's this one level though, and where you're literally walking in poop. Like, you're literally walking in poop, and it's disgusting.
Oh god.
And it's gross. Anyway, what are you playing?
Let me say this. The other game that I played, and you played it recently, we talked about it on the podcast, Cyberpunk 2077. I've decided to replay that. I've played it for around 4 to 5 hours yesterday, and it's really good. It's way better it's far and away better than what I had experienced when the game originally launched. It runs really well, and I don't know if you noticed, the game is like taken just this huge jump in terms of concurrent players. I think it's #1 on Steam right now. It's really it's been millions and millions of people over the last week in particular. They released their anime on Netflix last week, and
I did see that.
I think it's the most popular game out there right now is Cyberpunk 2077, which is crazy. So people are happy about that, but they're also, a little upset as to the jump that this game's taken, because it's kind of, how many times are we going to let this happen of a game being released in an unpolished state, blah, blah, blah. I just want to say the game's fantastic. I'm loving it so far. I will say that the beginning sequence where you kind of choose who you are, I think I'm starting to realize that that's kind of pointless, or not necessarily pointless, but
it is.
It's really only an hour difference, because I'm playing as the Corpo right now, and there's like a 30-minute difference in gameplay, and you're right back to where I was in my previous gameplay. So that's one thing that stood out, but the game's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it far more now than I was back then. I'm glad that they fixed it up. It's running really good, and it's really unique, just in its setting.
It's I encourage everyone, if you have a next-gen console or PC, check out Cyberpunk 2077, because let's face it, there was a lot of love poured into this game. There was. They absolutely botched the release of the game. I'm not saying they didn't, but it doesn't take away from the work that was put into this game. It was not everybody involved in making this game were involved with the crunch that they experienced at the end. And, some people are just victims of it. And then also the decision to release the game in a completely unfinished state. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That is, I'm sure, just a handful of people that ultimately said, we got to release it, and maybe it's,
Yeah.
I think CD Projekt Red published it themselves. I want to say, I will Google that really quickly.
I think they did. I'm pretty sure that they did. It's
yeah,
just
I mean, they have they have their own what's it called? What's DRM? They have their own DRM, so
Yeah.
I'm sure they published it themselves. But I'm looking it up right now. Publisher, it actually doesn't say, but I'm pretty sure
it's funny. You probably Googled them, though, and you could see the news articles. It's the hottest thing out there right now. It's so funny to see this just epic leap, this epic comeback. They did publish it. Okay, yeah, that's what I had thought, and that makes sense.
So I mean,
it sounds
again,
like we're gonna get a sequel based on their previous comments.
You think
a
so?
few weeks ago. Yeah, they said that we're not done in this universe yet, and that we have more planned, that sort of thing, and everybody's saying this is gonna get a sequel. So I'm a little surprised, but now that the game's just taken off, now I'm obviously not surprised. It's gonna get a sequel, probably, hopefully, way down the line. That's something we won't see for 8+ years.
It is sad though, Vinny, because it reinforces the idea that games can come out in an unfinished state, and as long as the idea or the actual game behind it is great or even good, that the game can still have success and flourish. That is scary, right? Because we don't want this to happen again with the way that Cyberpunk 2077 was released. And again, I just wanted to fact check it, but now we know for sure CD Projekt published it. And that's scary. They published it and they were able to get away with it. And they're absolutely flipping the narrative, it sounds like, based on what you're telling me. And again,
100%.
I see both sides of it. We can't let games come out like this. We need to have the game more polished before we release it. And I'm not a video game developer, so I have an insane amount of respect for people that are able to have the skills to do it. But just finish the game before you release it. I will wait.
Yeah.
I waited an entire year to play Cyberpunk 2077 because I loved The Witcher 3. I loved the new turn they took with this new universe, and I was really excited and the art direction and just everything about Cyberpunk 2077. Keanu Reeves, I'm a big fan of. I loved it. And I'm so happy I waited, though. Unfortunately, a lot of people played it, paid full price for it, and didn't get past the first opening sequence. It's sad, but I'm glad you gave it another shot.
And then they got a refund, because that was one of the first ever scenarios where Sony gave refunds for a video.
That was
game,
me.
Which is crazy to think of.
Yeah,
that was me too. Oh, what are the odds? Both of us.
Yeah,
you got a refund? No way. Me too.
Yeah.
Exactly
no, I pre-ordered it.
But yeah, No Man's Sky is the game that
Wow.
that this is getting compared to. You know what I mean?
Oh,
This
I thought you were
that's
playing.
Where my mind goes.
I thought you were playing No
I'm
Man's
not playing
Sky.
No Man's Sky. I'm
Yeah.
thinking of a game that released in an unpolished state, and now look at No Man's Sky. Look at it. It has a very positive sort of vibe to it.
See, I gotta kind
100%.
of disagree with you there. No Man's Sky is different because No Man's Sky promised things conceptually that they didn't deliver on. Something about the scope of the game and the game was still, I don't think it was as broken as Cyberpunk 2077, but it was more about the concept of the game and the mechanic. Right.
Yeah.
So to me, those are two different situations.
But you know what's
glitchy, and the other one is this game is just not what they said it was going to be, and it was marketed incorrectly.
What's even scarier is that's worse. I think we both agree just lying to people is worse.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky has been, I mean, it's a critical darling. You know what I mean? It's
now
taken off.
Yeah,
so
now it is.
It's just, I agree with you, though. I think we're both in agreement. It's a scary precedent here. Scary times, for sure.
Again, I just want to say the same thing, reiterate. No Man's Sky, it was not everyone involved responsible for marketing that game and promising things that weren't in the game, okay? It's not, there were people that worked on this game that may have had their reputation in jeopardy for a short or even extended period of time. It's not necessarily their faults. You know what I mean? I just want to make that clear. Just because a game is is bad at first and now it's good doesn't mean you can't like it. And it's not, you can also be critical of the fact it was released, not in a perfect state. So those two things can both exist. That's all I'm saying. But Vinny, why don't you tell us what the quote of the week is?
All right, Anthony, moving on to the quote of the week. Congratulations. You are the lucky
Oh,
winner.
thank you.
Last week, Anthony said, in regards to the PS5 version of Demon's Souls, which we just spoke about, Anthony said, quote, Blue Point took so many artistic liberties in the design of the game. Even though they may be strayed from the original a little bit, they flex their own design muscles here. If they can make a remake of Demon's Souls from the ground up, they can make their own game. End quote. Anthony,
Vinny?
we went back and forth last week. What's that?
I was just going to say thank you for the quote of the week honors. I appreciate it.
I was just going to say we went back and forth about this. Blue Point cannot wait for their next game. I completely agree with everything that you said here. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
I don't. So we spoiled the quote of the week already a little bit here, and we talked about Demon's Souls up front, but that's just because I'm playing it, so it just came up sort of organically. I don't want to talk about Demon's Souls anymore. I want to talk about Blue Point.
Yeah.
They absolutely need to be making their own game. And I'm not saying, okay, they're making an IP and they're working on some remake of another IP. They need to be only working on one thing right now and one thing only, a new IP. Do you disagree?
I would have to look at Blue Point and their games in general. I feel like that's a studio that typically works on multiple projects at one time, and they've almost like an Insomniac cranking games out, I feel like. So I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. Look, if you want to make this studio, focus on your own game, very similar to like Sucker Punch, who's just solely working on Ghost of Tsushima right now, I wouldn't disagree. I mean, they can go both ways, but I think that would be I actually, I'm give or take with this one. They could work multiple games at one time. They could remake a game on the side. They're so good at doing that it's almost like, do we really want to take away their ability to remake games from the ground up? So I mean, they can work on multiple things at one time, but I would totally understand and get it if we want them to focus on one new IP. I'm not going to sit here and argue that.
Yeah, I just really want to see them thrive as another one of Sony's first-party juggernauts, because they are. In my opinion, after playing Demon's Souls, because I'm so fascinated with the studio right now, obviously, as you can tell, I downloaded Shadow of the Colossus, and I had no idea how gorgeous this game is. It is gorgeous. Like, one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen. So they are a juggernaut. I cannot reiterate this enough. Blue Point is up there with Sucker Punch and Sony Santa Monica and Naughty Dog. They are up there, in my opinion. So, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I can't wait to see what Blue Point is cooking up next, because I am all in on it. So let's get into the episode, Vinny. Today's topics include The Last of Us TV show, Crash Team Racing, Tekken 8, and God of War Ragnarok. We got a couple other topics sprinkled in there. So we're just going to dive right in. We already did the quote of the week. Let's get to it. Modern Warfare 2. The Modern Warfare 2 beta exploded. These are stats from Steam. I know Steam is not related to PlayStation, whatever. It's my podcast and Vinny's podcast, not yours. So leave us alone. Modern Warfare 2 beta clocks up, and this is courtesy of Eurogamer.net. Quote, Modern Warfare 2 beta clocks up an impressive concurrent player count. It's already beaten the concurrent records for Left 4 Dead 2, FIFA 22, and Borderlands 2. These are games that were just really, really, really played a lot when they came out. They had 170,000 concurrent players on PC, which made it one of the most played games on Steam while the beta was live. So, Vinny, talk to me about this because it sort of feeds into our discussion that we've had over the last few weeks about how big of a publisher Activision is and how big of an IP Call of Duty is. And this game, the brand within a brand, Modern Warfare, is a massive sort of title. You know, just the name Modern Warfare carries so much weight with it. So talk to me about this because I'm really interested.
Yeah, it 100% does. You hit it right on the head there. This is going to sell way better than last year's Call of Duty. Then what was it? Vanguard, the World War II one. I completely agree with you. And Vanguard was a top selling game last year. I want to say it's I mean, I don't have numbers right in front of me, but I think it's probably top 3, top 5 selling game overall. It's got the Call of Duty name attached to it. But Modern Warfare 2, the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare, well, not the original, the more recent one that came out 3 years ago was fantastic. It was well received. It launched with Warzone, which, you know, people hate it, people love it. It is what it is, but tons of people play it. So Modern Warfare 1 was outstanding. I actually had the opportunity to play this beta, Anthony. So, you know what's funny? This might be a little bit off topic. Not necessarily off topic. This was the first PS5 experience I had at 120 frames per second on a first-person shooter. There's a way to do it on the Modern Warfare 2 beta. I will say this, it runs really good. It runs buttery smooth. You know me, I'm the FPS guy. I don't think we're there yet for a game of this magnitude, of this size, this scale, to be running at 120 frames. I was flipping between the two modes, as I'm sure you do with games all the time. I was flipping between 120 versus 60, and the 60, it's night and day. It looks way better in the 60. I cannot play it at the 120 FPS mode. So very random side thought there, but this is a game I just don't think that the PS5 is capable of that right now. I really don't. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. So minus the obvious visual downgrade, is there a noticeable what's the word?
Feeling, just
feeling. Is there right?
Anthony, it is it is really special. It is, and
really?
You feel it. You do. I mean, I don't necessarily think it's not the jump of a 30 FPS to a 60 FPS. I feel like that's really, that's night and day for me personally.
Yeah.
But you can feel it, and you're definitely better at, I mean, I can only speak for an FPS. I was better in the 120 FPS mode. It is like, I mean, it's hard to describe. It is really buttery smooth because you can't go out and watch a YouTube video at 120 frames. It only supports 60 hertz. It's hard to show people the difference. It is. And to some people, they might play it and not be able to realize that they're playing at 120 frames. I'll be honest. If you're not really a frame junkie, whatever you want to call it, tech junkie, it's going to be difficult to explain to people what the difference is. It's not that giant leap, but I will say, man, when we are there, when the quality of the game can look, like exceptional, I just think the quality is just not there.
Right.
Dude, at 120 FPS is crazy. It is really crazy. It is honestly mind-boggling. Like, it's really weird.
I think I need to see it to believe it because I knew this already, but I went ahead and Googled it really quickly just to have some, corroboration to my story, if you will. As far as I understood it, the human eye can only perceive between 30 and 60 frames per second. That's why 60 FPS is the target and has been the standard on PC gaming for as long as I can remember. So I really feel like the 120 is more about input lag than anything else.
I think that's what it is. I think that's 100%. That's what it is. It is it is so snappy. Like that. I think that's the word that I was trying to use. Input lag. It just feels really good. It is you. I'm not going to ramble on about it anymore because I'm trying to find the words to describe it. It's really one of those things that you have to like actually genuinely play.
Right.
And I know you'll play the 120 FPS mode for the first time. You're going to say, okay, I see what what
Really?
the fuss is about. I see it. Like, you're not going to play a 120 FPS game, going back and forth. You're not going to go there and say, I don't see a difference. I'd be stunned.
So
I would be shocked.
so it's probably it sounds like maybe watching it at between 60 and 120, you're not going to notice a difference, but the input lag you will. Because when you watch gameplay of a game at 30 FPS and you watch gameplay of a game at 60 FPS, you can tell that there's a difference. You can tell the game runs differently. But this sounds more of like something that you'd have to play to experience.
Yeah, and everything's just smoother. It's just like the animations are so smooth. It's just really difficult to. I encourage anybody that has the opportunity to at least just give it a try. Like, you'll see where games are headed, and it's exciting. The PS5 Pro, maybe it'll get us there, but we're not there right now.
You know what though? None of that matters if the game sucks. How is Modern Warfare 2? Because I never had a chance to actually play it. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it?
It's really good. It's more Call of Duty. People are gonna hate it. It's just natural for people to hate games like these. I love Call of Duty games. I've loved the ones that people universally hate, like Ghosts and things like that. It's really good. It's a little frustrating when you have a beta like this and it releases initially with just 2 maps. You're playing the same 2 maps. You can only play the same 2 maps so many times before you're sick and tired of looking at the same thing. So luckily they've updated it. I was able to play a little bit yesterday, and they've added a ton of content, ton of modes, things like that. It's really good. It looks really polished. It looks like it's done. Like, I don't anticipate it comes out in a month, so it's definitely done. So I don't anticipate this one getting delayed. It runs really well. No connection issues or anything like that, but I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. I don't think this added to my level of excitement. I don't think it, I think people know what they're getting themselves into with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. So it looks like it's going to shape up to be a pretty good game. I'm excited about the campaign, though, Anthony. If you pre-order this game, you get access to the campaign a week early. We may have discussed that earlier, but I cannot wait to play this campaign. Modern Warfare 1's campaign was so good.
That's so interesting to me, because I know that you rave about the first one, and I just when I think Call of Duty, I think multiplayer, I think zombies, I think of maybe some of the earlier campaigns like Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, that had a really good campaign. But I don't. The Call of Duty games are always, to me, synonymous with multiplayer.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. I think that the campaigns are hit or miss, and it's more misses than hits, unfortunately. What's the last good Call? Well, think about, when you used to play Call of Duty, what was it? Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Black Ops, Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Those all had outstanding campaigns, but we did hit a huge lull for a good time there until Modern Warfare 2019 came out, and the next 2 Call of Duties kind of stunk in the first-person department. So, dude, I can't wait. I'll have to report back, when I get the opportunity to play this campaign, because
absolutely,
you may need to check this one out if it's as good as the first one. My goodness.
I just as a single player offering, I don't paying full price for this. It's definitely right. It's definitely worth $70 if you're going to play it online with your friends. I don't have time for that anymore. I really don't. I wish I did, because I used to have a ton of fun playing with you and some of my other cousins, my sisters. Like, it's fun. It's fun to play games online. I'm just not at that stage of my life anymore, I guess. But I'm gonna check it out. I definitely will check it out. Well, you recommend the first one, right? You think I should play that before I play that? Is this a continuation of the first one?
I don't think that the story itself is a 10 out of 10. The real star of the campaign are the moment gameplay. The gunplay is obviously fantastic, but the sequences that it has are really special, like top tier Call of Duty sequences. I think back to Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare with the sniping sequence when you're in the ghillie suit, with the helicopter and things like that. Really special moments. Modern Warfare 1 has a ton of those.
So set pieces.
Yeah,
set pieces.
So I don't think you necessarily need to play the first one. This isn't something where I'm like, man, I can't wait to find out what happens to Soap. No, man, Captain Price. I mean, although I do love Captain Price, everybody does, and I want him to live, but I'm not grinding my teeth over here thinking to myself, man, like what's going to happen in this story?
Sure.
No, I just want to see the set pieces.
Last question I'll ask about Modern Warfare 2, and then if you don't mind, I'd like to move on.
Sure.
What game modes did you play? Was it just TDM, or were you playing Search and Destroy, or?
They actually, so originally for the first week of the beta, at least from what I played, was or the first night was really the only time that I got to play, was just team deathmatch and a couple of regular quick play modes. But I did get the opportunity to play yesterday, and they have the ground war mode, which, dude, it's
what is that?
Sweet. It is basically Battlefield, but Call of Duty. It is straight up Battlefield.
Ooh,
it
that
is
sounds good.
Conquest
That sounds fun.
with different points, massive map. Like Warzone size, like enormous size map.
Vehicles?
But it's Conquest with vehicles, boats.
Wow.
It is really cool, and I loved it in Modern Warfare 19. Then they took a break from it because of Warzone probably took over the scene, so they figured, nobody's going to want to play this. And now it's back, and it's awesome. It is so good. It's Battlefield. It is what we wanted Battlefield 2042 to be,
Interesting. Yeah, and that's something that is fun to play with a friend. Something like that, just squatting up, that is
spawn
fun.
on your squad, very similar to
fun.
Battlefield.
That's really
fighting
fun.
for points. A lot of fun. That Call of Duty gameplay. It's
Vinny,
awesome.
I might have to check this out. We might have to play together when our schedules align, which very seldom happens, but we'll see. You're getting me excited, and I don't get excited for these Call of Duty games, so that says a lot.
All right.
I'm also excited for this next topic. God, I really got to stop with the really lame transitions, but you know what? It is what it is.
I mean, how could you not be excited about this next topic?
I am excited about this next topic. But I wasn't. Here's the thing. I was not. I was not excited for this at all. I had no desire to watch. Yes, I said watch, not play. The Last of Us series, the TV series developed by HBO. It's coming in 2023, Vinny, and we have a look at a teaser trailer that sort of gives us it actually gives us a lot. The trailer is a minute and 48, but I see so many sequences from the game. I see so many nods to different moments, and it looks good. It looks good, and I know, believe me, I know. I've said it on the podcast so many times. A game is not a movie. A movie is not a game. A TV series is not a video game series. The IP is good, but they should not follow the story. I'm kind of eating my own words here because that's how good this looks. I also said that Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann might be the exception to the rule. So, let's get into it. What do you have on the teaser trailer for the HBO series?
Dude, I'm 100%. I'm right there with you. I think it looks outstanding. I was a little different, on opposite side of the spectrum from you. I was excited about this. We don't see a lot of HBO doesn't put out low quality, poor shows, things like that. So, just given that HBO was involved had me excited, and, I was going to watch it regardless. Both of us were. But it looks outstanding. I will say this, the trailer just establishes the tone of the show, and the tone is perfect. It is beat for beat. I mean, it's honestly a little jarring because I've been playing The Last of Us Part 1. I haven't played it in a few weeks, but I did put like 10 hours into it, when it originally came out. And, they're using the music from the Part 1 music and that sequence where Joel and Ellie get, it's just really weird to play the video game and then see this because it is a lot of, nodding and head nodding. And, it's a lot of it is shot for shot, the video game. So it's exciting in that way. But I think the game is, I'm just interested to see how these performances are going to be. You know what I mean?
Oh, they're going to be, the performances are going to be great.
Yeah,
They just didn't
show, we didn't get to see Ellie, her personality.
But they were both great.
Ellie going to be, I'm not saying they're going to be bad. I'm saying that's going to be probably the most important part, in my opinion. I think they nailed
absolutely.
the tone.
But I'm just saying,
I think that
listen,
they've nailed the tone. I want to see, Pedro Pascal. I've seen Pedro Pascal in a lot of stuff now. It's honestly just it's a little bit like, okay, I know his characters, like I've watched The Mandalorian. I watched he's just in so many different things. Game of Thrones, he was excellent. I'm just interested to see how he takes the Joel role. You know, I don't know. I was just curious. It's just something that I'm keeping my eye out for. I don't think the performance is going to be bad.
I
I will
think
say this:
Ellie she was a Mormont, right? In Game of Thrones. She was
and she was outstanding in that show.
She was great in
really
it.
Good. She was outstanding. So I have no doubts that they're going to be really good. I just wish I got to see it in the trailer, but that's not the purpose of this trailer. Trailer is just to show you the tone of the show, what it's going to be.
That's exactly correct.
A plus across the board in terms of its tone, and it looks appropriately high budget. The clicker that they showed at the end looked like a real clicker. Like it was not some cheap set, design or something like that, CGI. No, like if you actually freeze it on the clicker, it genuinely looks like a click. Like it looks horrifying. So I'm very, very excited about this. I cannot wait. And I think we got to do something on the podcast, talk about these episodes. This looks so good.
Yeah, it's not till 2023, so I'm sure I'll cook something up by then. But we'll probably cover every episode, do like a spoiler cast sort of a thing. I don't have any more else to say than, I mean, you put it so well, Vinny. Everything I was gonna say, you pretty much said. They set the tone. That's not what this trailer is about. I'm not as worried about the performances as you are, I think, but I mean, the high production value.
Worried. I just wish I got to see them, but that's not the point of this. So, it's
exactly
just me being nitpicky, just a
exactly.
Pain in the ass, I guess.
My only concern about this, I'm just a little tired on the IP. It's just they jam The Last of Us. If you play PlayStation, they jam The Last of Us down your throat constantly. I'm so happy that a new audience of people that don't play PlayStation or don't play video games are getting exposure into this world and this universe. But it's really like, this seems like something that is going to be a higher quality, more tightly portrayed version of, if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, for example, you are probably going to love this. I think it's a more intelligent version of The Walking Dead. That's the vibe I get, at least. So
yeah. Also, I'm curious, not to bounce off of that a little bit, but I didn't necessarily love where The Last of Us Part 2 went with its story.
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to play it directly off of the video games? Are they going to take their own risks? You know what I mean? Are we going to see something different here that we never saw in the video game? What direction is this show going to go? Are they going to, spoilers, Last of Us Part 2, are they going to kill off Pedro Pascal, early? Is that going to happen? Are we going to get a few seasons of this? It's just, I'm curious to see how they handle that. There's so many big moments, particularly in Part 2. What direction are they going to go with this? I'm interested to see.
I could be completely wrong, but especially based on this trailer, my assumption is that they are going beat for beat with the maybe not beat for beat, it's a different medium, so they're gonna have to change some things, but they are gonna go down the plot points and just sort of explore them all. You can see it. I mean, like I said, you can see all the nods to the scenes and the moments from the game. That's what they're doing here. This is
I think that works for one season. You know what I mean? In
right.
Season 2, Last of Us Part 2 is so, there's just so many choices there that it'll be interesting to see if the show does the exact same thing.
Vinny,
particularly my mind is going to killing off Joel. Are they going to do that episode 1 of season 2? I'm curious to see how they handle these plot points.
I don't think season 1 equates to The Last of Us 1. I don't think that's necessarily what's happening.
Anthony, I think it's going to end with him delivering Ellie to the
Fireflies.
The Fireflies, the doctors that are going to kill her. I would assume that's how it's going to end. You don't think that's how season 1's going to end? Is him saving her at the end?
No.
Really? Because that's one of the best parts of The Last of Us, the original Last of Us.
I think they're going to drag it out.
That's not in here.
I think they're going to drag it out as long as they can. I think you're looking at maybe like a 10 to 12 episode thing. Yeah, I don't.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's sort of my feeling, at least. I think because you got to remember this, you have to introduce the world to a whole new audience, right? There's going to be an episode probably just to explain what happened here.
Sure.
So
And
it's
Anthony, talking about is actually getting me kind of excited. I gotta be honest. Isn't it getting you excited? Like, I'm actually curious to see where they take it.
Yes and no. I like this universe. I like the idea of it. I'm still of the mindset that you shouldn't take a video game and turn it into a movie and go like
The
beat
show
for
is
beat
gonna
with it.
win like 10 Emmys or 20, break
I
the
hope
record
it
for Emmys, and
does.
Anthony's still gonna be sitting here. I just don't think it worked. Like,
No, I just
'cause-
it's not written. It was written to be a TV show. Oh, this is what
and
I was
that
going to
is
say.
Anthony. That's one of your famous quotes too on the show. You love to
It
bring that
is.
up too. That video games are different than shows. So I cannot wait to see your I cannot wait. I cannot wait to hear you do an episode by episode review of the show. I'm really excited now.
Okay, so the last thing I'll say is, and this is related to your point about what are they going to do? Are they going to go directly with where the show goes? Neil Druckmann is the creative. He's the creative figurehead for the game and for the show. So, in my opinion, it would be very weird for Neil Druckmann to make an adaptation of his own content stray from the original source material. It'd just be kind of weird.
Interesting.
I
agree. I agree. It's just, are you really gonna kill off Pedro Pascal that early? You know what I
Yes.
mean? I don't see it happening. He's too big of a high profile actor. Somebody at HBO is gonna step in and say, no, you got to keep this guy around. Sorry. I just, if I were working at HBO, I'd be like, we can't kill him. Sorry. Go find someone else to kill off. And also, it's going to piss off half of the viewers if if it's the same as the video game reaction, because that really upset half of the video game players. So it's just such a divisive just such a divisive game, particularly
Here's
part
what I'll
2,
say.
which I know we're not going to get into with this season. So, go ahead.
Here's what I'll say. That was a really good point that you brought up. That like maybe about half of the audience of The Last of Us was pissed off when, spoiler, they killed Joel. So I don't think they'll change it. What I think you might see is Neil Druckmann use the TV show to justify and further explain his decision. That's what I think you're going to see.
That's a really good point. A little bit more development to that moment.
Exactly.
Something like that to maybe. I actually agree, because then you might get into a situation where people are watching the show. It's like, okay, this actually makes sense. I'm not saying it didn't make sense in the video game, but I agree. That's a really good point. I think I'm right there with you on that one. Cannot wait to see this one. I'm think far more excited than you are.
Yeah,
I really
you are.
This is one of my most. The trailer is so good, and I was excited before. So
I like the idea.
One, I'm replaying it, dude, and I think it's just, I do agree with you on the point of it's a little bit like you're a little Last of Us out. Like you're a little bit like, okay, like I've seen this too many times now. But I'm not there yet. I'm not there.
I've been there. I don't know. It's fine though. It's fine. I'm still going to do it. You don't have to twist my arm. I'm going to watch the show. I'm really excited to have that weekly or by episode segment. That's, I think, is going to be a lot of fun, Vinny. I'm really looking forward to that. So moving on though, we have an announcement. This goes back to the State of Play, which by the time you hear this, it's going to be a little bit old news, but whatever. Again, this is our podcast. Leave us alone. Tekken 8 announcement trailer dropped on the September State of Play. This looks so good. Vinny, talk to me about Tekken 8. Talk to me about this trailer. What do you think? Go.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it looks outstanding. I'm not a massive Tekken fan. I was when I was 10 years old, the older PS2 games. That's kind of the last time that I personally played Tekken. I have not played any of the more recent ones, but this looks really, really good. I got to be honest with you, from an art design standpoint, from just a graphical standpoint, looks outstanding. In the rain, the lightning in the background, the water splashing everywhere when you're hitting the other player, water going everywhere. It looks really impressive from just a graphical standpoint. And it kind of made me miss Tekken. You know, like it made me want to go back to that universe, so to speak, because I did really, I was obsessed. I think it was Tekken 2, maybe?
No,
Was the one
4.
that
It was Tekken 4. The
That's
one with
exactly what
the
it
one
was.
with
It was Tekken
Jin
4.
on the cover. I'm looking at the cover right now, Vinny.
It's the dude
he
with
has a hoodie on.
Yes, and then
Yeah.
who was the old guy? Who's the old guy? What was his
Oh,
name?
what is his name? I don't know what his name is,
It
but
looked
yeah, I know
like,
what you're talking about.
Yep. I'm excited. I'm very excited. I'm interested to see when this comes out because this is Street Fighter. What is it? Street Fighter 6, right? Is the latest one? That also looks outstanding. So
Yeah,
it's a good space to be in right now for fighting games, or at least it will be come next year. I would imagine these are both going to come out next year, right?
Yeah. Did it say at the end of the trailer? It just says like stay tuned. That's all it says. So I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is a little bit further away. But Tekken is one of those fighting franchises that I've always played with sort of my brain shut off. You know, it's not that it's a very deep game. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for me, it is by far one of the most enjoyable fighting games that you could play. That and Mortal Kombat are my two, top tier casual fighting game fan games that you could play. Street Fighter is very good, and we've discussed it on the podcast before, but you sort of feel like you're not like you're missing something when you don't know all the intricate mechanics. With Tekken, I always felt like it was very approachable and just fun in a single player context. Like some of the single player modes and just like the story and the characters I actually enjoyed. And it seems like they're taking a narrative approach to this based on what we're seeing in this announcement trailer. It really seems like they're going to push for something like that. So I think, and this is a theory, but I think that this might have a really high quality story mode to it. That's the sense I get, at least.
Yeah. It does look that way. And like you said, Mortal Kombat and who's the NetherRealm? NetherRealm is
NetherRealm, yeah.
NetherRealm,
yeah.
That's right. Not NetherRealm. Yeah. NetherRealm has kind of changed the landscape there with single player fighting games and what can be accomplished with those games. So that would be really cool. That would be a reason to go back as well for someone like myself. Not necessarily going to have a couch co-op gameplay session with anybody that particularly loves, Tekken. So having that single player component there and making it interesting, that would be a way to kind of grab me back. You know what I mean? I hope I hope you're right. I 100% I'm hoping you're right and I do think that you're right, especially based on this trailer. The quality of the cutscenes, the quality of everything is so high. It looks so good, man. Oh my goodness. It looks appropriately epic. Like epic.
It does. It does.
It looks so good.
Here's the other thing I'll say. I'm not going to pay full price for this. This is one of those games that when it goes on sale and I have nothing to play, I'm going to go, oh, cool. I remember seeing Tekken 8. This game looks awesome. And I'll pick it up then. Or I'll get like a demo and I'll check it out. But Street Fighter, just because we were so obsessed with Street Fighter 4, might be the only fighting game that I purchased day one. And for a very long time. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm right there
just
with
a
you.
thought.
I don't think I would pay $70. Especially now that things are $70, it makes it just that much worse. That extra $10.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm right there with you. I think this is.
Games are historically cheap right now, but it just feels like we're spending more money on games. I agree. So I would pay $140 for this next game, though, Vinny. God of War Ragnarok. Come on now. This game looks so good. The new State of Play trailer dropped, and I have to scrub through it. I can't do this to myself. I've seen way too much for this game. I don't want and this is the crazy thing about Sony. Unlike they do with The Last of Us, they don't really like God of War is such a big IP. They could jam God of War down your throat, but they're very strategic and very minimalist with the coverage that they show you for God of War. But every glimpse, every little piece of gameplay, every little nugget that I see for this just makes me more and more excited. I cannot wait for God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I had to not. God, now I'm watching the trailer again, and I'm actually not scrubbing through because I was trying to not see all of it. I was trying to have some spoilers, like get rid of some spoilers that I'm inevitably seeing right now. But I can't help myself. I'm glued to the screen right now. This game looks so freaking amazing.
Yeah, it's actually like comical, like how good it looks. Like I found myself laughing at some of the sequences, not because they were funny, but because of how epic and insane and amazing it looked. It genuinely, I was laughing. I was like, there's no way that this is like a real video game that I'm going to get to play in 2 months. It looks so good, and it's just amazing. It is amazing how much that 2018 God of War remake or, remodel, whatever you want to call it, that game changed the perception of God of War. This game, dude, is massive. The public appeal for this game now is huge. This might be their biggest IP. It could very well be now. It could be. What?
No.
You're nodding your head. What do you think is bigger?
No, I'm not nodding my
God
head. I'm shaking my head. It's The Last of Us.
Your head.
It's The Last of Us.
I think from a video game standpoint, God of War right now is bigger. I'm not talking about. I mean, I guess since I am talking about an IP, an intellectual property, I guess video, the shows and things of that nature would go in hand there. But this game, man, is huge. This trailer has 6 million views alone. I'm looking at it, which you don't usually see that. Like you just don't. Not for even any sort of first party Microsoft game. Nothing. It's very rare that video games have this level of appeal, this many. Dude, the game is always trending online. It's trending on Twitter constantly. Game's gonna be huge, man.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because of the original one being so good? Do you think it's the character of Kratos? Do you think it's a combination of factors? Why do you think God of War resonates with such a broad audience?
It's such a good question, man. And it has to come from that 2018 game just being as outstanding as it was, and kind of I think it caught people off guard as well as to how good it was, and bringing it into that sort of over the shoulder aspect instead of it being kind of top down as the original God of War games, making it feel more personal, make you feel more attached to the characters, introducing the son, Atreus, right? I don't know. It's a really good question. What do you think?
Atreus. If you say Atreus, you're going to get like so many comments.
Yeah. I'll just say boy.
Oh my God. People already, the way that you said Gollum, you said like Golem or something like that, and people had a field day with that on one of our videos, just to let you know, Vinny.
Golem.
It's Gollum. But anyway, Atreus, Kratos and Atreus. Atreus. Anyway, it's fine. I just don't make fun of Vinny's the way he says Atreus. Okay, go easy on Vinny. Is all I'm trying to say. You guys are a bunch of monsters. This game looks amazing. It does. It looks, and it doesn't look amazing like. It doesn't look amazing like, wow, I'm so excited to play more God of War. It looks like the next evolution of the. So apprehensive because this game is also coming out for PS4. And I still think the game would have been better if it was only on PS5. That's just the way that technology works, in my opinion. When you know that you have to sort of downgrade, you're going to have you're going to be thinking about the scope of the game differently. You just are, like, naturally or even subconsciously. However, it still looks like the next evolution of the God of War series. It doesn't look like, oh yes, this is more God of War 2018. I'm so excited this game is all, which would be fine. Honestly, if they just gave us new levels and new story beats, and that would be great. This looks like they really pushed themselves even farther. It does. It looks like they push themselves even more, and it looks like it's going to be a superior game. And I can't undersell how the God of War 2018 is my favorite game of all time. So if I'm saying that God of War Ragnarok is going to be a superior game, that carries a lot of weight with it. it looks like it's going to be a better game, and visually it's stunning. It looks like it's running at 60 FPS. I think that's going to be, PS5. I think the standard is going to be 60 FPS. I think they're really pushing for performance in this one, and it's. I don't know what else to say, Vinny. I don't know what else to say.
I will say there's so much pressure on this game to be a 10. When the review embargo ends, if we're seeing 100% 10s,
I agree.
It really is like the pressure's there. Like it needs to be a 10. Otherwise, it's a disappointment. So
that's a really good point.
Such big shoes to fill. And I can't wait, dude. It looks like it's going to live up to all the expectations. And I agree with you, man. It looks like they're taking it in a logical, that sort of natural next step to the combat, to just the epic scale of the game. It looks like it's even more epic than the original, more beautiful. And I'm glad that you brought up the frame rate. It looks like it's running real good.
Yeah.
60 FPS.
So let me ask you one more question about God of War Ragnarok, and then we're going to move on. But it says pre-order now, 11/09/2022. Are they going to hit this release date? I know I told you release dates are irrelevant right now, but I just want to gut check. Are they going to hit this?
Yeah. I'd be stunned if they don't hit this. We would have heard something by now. You can't delay this type of game, this big of a game, a month out. Have we ever seen something like that? Maybe we have.
No, I agree.
This looks outstanding. I would be shocked if they don't hit it.
I agree for the exact same reason. The exact same thing you just said. It's too big of a game. It's too big of a franchise, and they're marketing it like a lot now. I know I said they're being sort of minimalist, which in my opinion they are, but they're marketing it 10 times more than they were. So I think they'll hit it. I think that like I did say, don't trust the release date. I think you're about 85% this game's going to come out on 11/09. So
yeah, it's all over the PlayStation Store as well. Don't know if you've been on there recently. You're right. The marketing's there. The game's likely done by now.
Yeah.
We'll probably hear that it goes gold. I'd assume 2 weeks out. Something like that. But I'd be shocked. It would be a huge blow.
I would too.
Sony if they don't hit it.
I was just curious. That wasn't like a leading question or anything. I just wanted to get your opinion. I'm so excited for this one, man. I really didn't want to watch this trailer, but I feel like it's important for a show that we keep up with and cover things like God of War because it's just that big of a franchise. But moving on. I wanted to talk to you about Valkyrie, which is a game that you said it looked like a really good game and you were excited for it. I wasn't as high on it when I saw the sort of initial coverage of the game. I have to tell you, Vinny, I played the demo and I was 100% wrong. This game I think it's going to be good. The one thing that worries me about Valkyrie Elysium is there's some elements of traversal and the level design that kind of remind me of Godfall, and in a bad way, obviously. Yeah, because in Godfall, there's like this traversal system that they try and make it seem like it's open, but it's actually really closed. And maybe it's just the segment of the game that I played, but it's sort of like you have like a little mini teleporting mechanic, and it just helps you go from point A to point B, but it's done in a way that makes point A to point B very small. I don't know if I'm doing a good job of explaining this, but just anyway, other than that, the combat is so much different than I thought it was going to be. There's this element of I don't know if you're watching the demo right now. Yeah, but I would just scrub past the beginning because that's just sort of like the tutorial. But there's an element of summoning allies, and they have special moves associated with them, and it's something similar that I saw in Scarlet Nexus, which was cool. And it gave me vibes of it kind of gave me Final Fantasy vibes. And it didn't give me Tales of Arise vibes at all. I remember when I first talked about this game on the podcast, I said it just looks like a knockoff of Tales of Arise, and I thought it was maybe going to be true visually, but I don't think that's true visually either because they're borrowing a lot from Norse mythology in this game. You know, you have Odin and different. I don't know. I don't know where to start with Norse mythology, but you know, it looks good. The most important thing about this game, and I don't have a ton to say, but I just wanted to make sure that I emphasized it on the podcast. The gameplay is fun. Like the gameplay is very fun and very action RPG. It's good. It's really good. It's really good. It's fast and it seems like it might be difficult, or you could bump the difficulty up at least. And it's got some RPG tropes in there, but overall, I am pleasantly excited for this game, and it comes out the end of September, which by the time you listen to this, it'll already be out. But what are your impressions of I know you didn't play the demo, but it's more gameplay that you're able to see here, and I know you've been watching it. What do you think of this one, Vinny?
Yeah, I think I'm just as positive as I was originally when we talked about this a few months back. I was getting a lot of Final Fantasy vibes. Final Fantasy is sort of getting this, you know, this this rebirth all of a sudden. Like what I did there, Final Fantasy.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
But no, anyways, these games are sort of, you know, they're sort of trickling out. This game looks really good. I think it looks awesome. I'm a little concerned, and there's one thing that concerns me. Okay, and it might just be me personally. How big is this game? What am I getting myself into here? Is this about to be a 60 to an 80 hour, you know, RPG, or is this going to be a tight 20 to 30 hour game? What do you think this is? Because I'm starting to get whiffs, if you will, of this game might take me 40, 50 hours to beat. And I just don't have that time. So I'm a little concerned there. I need to know what the length of this game is before I decide to dive into it. I just don't have the time like I used to. We talked about it on the podcast. And the elements here, it's just starting to look like a massive RPG to me. So what do you think? How long do you think this game is going to be?
40 hours, I would say. If you play through it all, you know,
straight through.
To straight through. Yeah, these games are not small, especially Square Enix published games. They know their audience, and they know their audience likes long games, and RPGs are made with that intention. You know, it's not like playing a game that overstays its welcome. Well, that's not true. Some RPGs do overstay their welcome, but I don't know. I don't think. I mean, maybe it'll be a little bit shorter. Final Fantasy VII, the stupid pun that you made that I won't even acknowledge. Final Fantasy VII Remake was the perfect length in my opinion. I think it was probably about 25 hours. It took me a little bit longer.
30. Yeah,
it took me a little longer because I just love that game and I saw almost all you could see. But it's
well, my mind is going
be long.
to you. It's just the reason why I think that and why I'm getting these whiffs. You put out a 2+ hour long demo for a game that hasn't come out yet. That tells me this game's probably, around 40, 50, 60 hours of content here. And me,
but that's what
the problem that, not to go on here, but the problem that I have with a game that, you could play it 40 hours straight through. I don't like to play games like that. I like to do the side quests. I like to do all the other things that you can get out of your experience. I just don't have the time. You know what I mean? So a lot of times when a game says it's 40 hours, the way that I play video games is I love to do side quests. I love to go out and see the world, things like that. And before I know it, I'm 15 hours in the game and I'm not even close. You know what I mean? So it's just, man, I'm damn, that's really irks me. That's upsetting.
See, that's funny because I'm generally the opposite, except with Elden Ring. I like to go straight through the game because I know. Yeah, because I know I don't have time to do all these side quests. And if I start doing the side quests, I'm going to want to do them all. Because once I do a few of them, I'm like, well, I already did all these side quests and I'm so, I've done every single one. Let me keep doing all of them. So I just don't even bother. I usually some games like this, especially an action RPG, they usually require some level of grind and you are forced to do side quests just by the nature of the beast. And this looks like it might be one of those types of games, but the combat is it's so much more action oriented than I thought it was going to be. It reminds me a lot more of maybe Devil May Cry than I initially thought. Yeah. Because there's like a combo meter and you're trying to keep your combo up, and there's all those JRPG elements that we talked about. But yeah, it's they really push this sort of combo system in there. I think something along the lines of you deal more damage the more the higher your combo meter gets. Yeah, it's interesting. And I thought that this game was going to be very basic and not bring anything new to the table, and I'm pleasantly surprised that I was wrong. I think this is one to keep an eye on, Vinny. And to your earlier point, I've played so many RPGs that I don't end up beating and still have a phenomenal time with them, and that's fine. Maybe you play this game for 20 hours until it gets boring to you, and then you move on to something else. And I hate not beating a game. I really do. But Tales of Arise was simply too long. Tales of Arise was so good, and then it overstays its welcome. You're just waiting for the story to end. And I'm like, yeah, I want to finish it to say I finished it, but that's the only reason I'm finishing it at this point, is to say I beat it. And that's not the right reason to play a game. So I stop and I put it down. Maybe this game really grabs you, and maybe it's the cool thing is if you really enjoy it, it can be like that side. We talked about appetizers and entrees. It could be that appetizer that you play for like half a year, and you just take your time with it. It looks good. It looks really good.
It's actually a very good point. That actually got me more excited for it. Maybe this is the appetizer. I need this as the main course. I agree, because that's actually probably the way that I would have to approach this game.
Yeah.
And let me just say this real quick. Kudos to Square. This game's only $60 on PS5.
Oh, cool.
Just something out there that let's give props where they're due, because it's very frustrating that some of these are $70. So, just something that I spotted. And yeah, it's out in 3 days. I think I'm going to take a wait and see approach. I want to see what the reviews are saying, not, see what we're seeing. What are we getting here? Are we getting 7? Or am I going to get a 9 or 10? 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that range. So I'm going to wait and see approach, and perhaps a wait till it gets cheaper approach on top of that. So we shall see. Are you going to pick it up?
I want to see the reviews, at least a couple of reviews come out for it, but probably, yeah, I think I will.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Very
so
cool.
I'll talk about it on the podcast. But the other thing I'll say really quickly, this just came to me. The reason why demos of RPGs are sometimes a lot longer is because they want you. A lot of people that play RPGs obviously do so for the story, and they want you to get engrossed in the world and the story. Me personally, I skip through all that crap. I don't want to know the story stuff unless I'm playing the whole game.
Mechanics of the game or the
I just want to exactly.
Me too.
That's
Me too.
I'll deal with the story stuff later. You know what I mean? That's how I always view that. But I'm this is on my radar for sure. For sure, this is on my radar. I would say there's like a 70% chance I'm going to pick this up day one.
Oh, exciting.
Okay, so that is all the talking points we have other than your consideration. So we're going to dive right into that now. Vinny, why don't you sort of tee this up for us? Because I know that you want to talk about Crash Team Racing a little bit more. You don't necessarily want to do a two-parter here. So, by the way, Vinny's game was Crash Team Racing, and that was in the category, I think we said off-genre was the category, right?
Yes. Yeah, it was off-genre. Yeah.
He gave me Dreams, and I'm not going to give you a new game yet, Vinny. We're going to hold off on that. We still have some stuff to figure out with the show, but for now, just talk to us about Crash Team Racing a little bit, because it's one of the better kart racing games that I've ever played, and I want to know what you think about it.
Yeah. So I had the opportunity to play around 4, maybe 5 hours of the game. Not as much as I would have loved to have played it, but from what I was able to play, the game is awesome. I don't think that was really a surprise to me personally.
Oh,
There
really?
were elements. I think I was fully expecting this game to be great. I've heard nothing but great things. I know it got really good reviews when it came out. Me personally, from my perspective, I actually played a lot of Mario Kart. So a lot of the more recent one, that would Mario Kart 7. I think I have like 75 plus hours
Holy
of
crap.
Mario Kart 7. So it was a little jarring to me because I do think this plays a lot differently from Mario Kart than what
sure.
I was personally anticipating. I was expecting a Mario, I don't want to say a Mario Kart clone, but I was expecting, when I think of kart racers, it's natural. You're only going to think it's going to be another Mario Kart. But the game plays way differently than Mario Kart in a lot of ways. One thing that stood out to me, I took some notes. The game is, number one, gorgeous. The game is beautiful.
Yeah,
I think it's appropriately beautiful to play. It's fun to look at, and you're actually excited. I was excited to check out all of the courses. That was the first thing that I did. Actually, part of the problem, I think I approached the game the wrong way when I first went into it, Anthony. I went right into online multiplayer. I didn't even do any tutorial or anything. I was thinking, I was like, what a great story it would be on the podcast if I just was able to say that I went into online multiplayer, kick some ass, and then I decided to, play some adventure mode. I
can already tell you how that story ended.
Dead last, like 4 straight games. It was terrible. It was a horrible experience. So my initial impressions of the game were that I didn't like it, but it was because I was getting my ass kicked.
Yeah.
It's funny because this game it's so funny because the game is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard, and it's funny that it's hard because it's Crash. Like I was thinking to myself, I was like, that is so funny that this is a hard ass kart racer.
Yeah.
And it's so appropriate for the mascot, for the IP itself, for this. And I was not expecting it to be so hard. I was not expecting it to be so hard to master. I was personally expecting a easy game to pick up and play, and I'd probably master in like an hour and I'd be really good at it. I was really bad for I'd say about 3 hours in, I started to figure out the power slide in particular of this game.
Yeah,
it's
the whole game.
It's the entire game, and I didn't realize how important it was until obviously in my multiplayer experience. I guess people were I was in dead last. Like it was like embarrassing. I was getting like overlapped. I was getting destroyed. But it's hard. The maps are hard. It's like genuinely a really hard kart racer. This is not a game that I could see my friends coming over and me handing them a controller and it's a competitive match. It's a very skill-based game, meaning I would just be exponentially better than them. At least with Mario Kart, the items really help you. I don't think the items are nearly as important in this game. They're important, but they're not going to save your ass. Whereas in Mario Kart, you can get a blue shell, you can get a bullet. Like, I'm thinking of the Bullet Bill one where it just brings you right back in the race. The items are the game's just not nearly as forgiving as Mario Kart. It is really skill based. It is like you got to memorize the courses. I played the same course like 8 times in a row, and then I felt like I was a pro at it. It was the one where you go underwater, and
oh, I love that course.
And it's so cool. It's such a cool course, and I never got bored of it. But I was replaying that. Let me say this, because I'll let you chime in here. Because I played the game for, around 4 hours or so. And unfortunately, I only played the adventure mode in the last, 30 minutes. I thought it was going to be a gimmick. I thought it was going to be a gimmick. So what I was doing was I was just doing local play, and I was just playing computers on the maps. And then I went into the adventure mode, and I didn't realize there was an actual camp. It went into a cutscene. I was like, wait, this is like a full campaign here.
You don't listen to me, do you? And I told you, I said play the campaign. It's Diddy Kong Racing.
Check the tape. You never said check the tape. You never said that.
I promise you.
Anthony, I went into the campaign mode. I was like, wait, so I had 4 hours into it. I was like, this is an actual campaign. I thought it was going to be a stupid
no, it's the campaign's amazing.
And the campaign was really cool. It was really fun. I was like,
here's what we're going to do here, Vinny. Here's what we're going to do. I didn't realize, because we discussed it a little bit before we started recording, and we were saying, oh, should we do one more week of Crash Team Racing. We're going to, because you need to play the campaign, and I need to get your opinion on that.
I'll give my impressions of the campaign next week. That's why I was trying to tell you, is that I'm going to play it next week. I'm going to play the campaign. I'm actually excited to play it.
Because I know
it was really hard.
I know you played Diddy Kong Racing. I know that game was like a special game for you. That's why I recommended you this game. And I also wanted to say, I was going to make this point, and you stole it from me, which is fine, because this is your show. Sure. This is your for your consideration. The items are not as important as they are in Mario Kart, and it's definitely more skill based than Mario Kart, which I love. This is a game that I could get obsessed with and get good at, more so than Mario Kart. And I've played a lot of Mario Kart too, but I prefer this, just to let you know.
Yeah, I mean, I actually agree. It's almost like, do you remember when we played Super Smash Bros? For those of us, when we played Super Smash Bros for the first time without items,
right?
And how competitive that was, and how skill-based it turned into, rather than just a random item helping somebody out. It's very similar to that. That's kind of where my mind was going, at least. There's actually like a genuinely skill-based game here. And it is hard. It is hard to master. The power sliding, I was still trying to get used to it. I'm probably going to play it later tonight, to be honest with you, for like an hour or so, because I'm still trying to master the power sliding. It's kind of bugging me that I'm not good at it, you know? So it's outstanding though. I could see now you got me excited to play the adventure mode. So I'll 100% have impressions on the adventure mode next week. There's no doubt about that.
You know what's good about this game? And I've said this about some games in the past, and I need to come up with like some sort of a description to call this type of a game, but it's one of those games that you can, like a word or a phrase. I need to come up with something, so I'm going to sit on that. But it's one of those games that I always say, you can play it for 10 minutes or you can play it for 6 hours. It really fits both styles. And I know, I know I've said that before.
It does. I will say one of those games, Anthony. It is not a game that you can lean back and relax.
No. No, absolutely not. No.
You are going to be hunched forward trying to hit every fucking turn.
Completely in your gaming position. You're in your full-on gaming position.
I was expecting kick my feet back, relax, play some Crash. And my stupid ass, I was not thinking of the Crash Bandicoot.
Right.
I didn't think it was going to be a hard ass game. It was actually, it was actually really surprising in a good way. And I'm happy that it's different than Mario Kart.
Yeah.
I am. I was hoping that it would be different than Mario Kart, and it definitely is. It's a lot of fun. I will say this: it took me forever to find matches online. So it doesn't seem, obviously the game's old. It's kind of a shame. Also, I may have to dive a little bit more into it. I didn't really get the opportunity to do so. I got to look at the microtransactions for the game and get a report on that to see how Activision is handling them, because it does have the coins everywhere.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can buy those coins.
This was actually this was a controversy surrounding the game, because they apparently said that there wouldn't be any microtransactions, and then they backpedaled and added a bunch of store shit to it. Yeah, so I or maybe the both of us, or we'll do some research and report back with that. But I know, I know that is a story, where they sort of the other game that I would play, not to completely go off on a tangent here, but Hot Wheels Racing is another racer that I really love, and I have not played enough of it. And it's also got that kind of skill-based element. In Hot Wheels, there's no items. It's just your car and you're boosting and you're drifting, and that's it. But it's like one of the highest rated racing games to come out in a long time. Yeah, and it's you get these little cars that look like the Hot Wheels. They have the little indentations with all the copyright information on there. You know how the toys have those?
Yep.
It looks exactly like it's
we
so
may have
cool.
Discussed the game on a previous podcast.
We did briefly because I was playing it. Yeah, I was playing it.
I was gonna say I remember watching videos on it, and it looked good, shockingly. I think I made the argument that the game wouldn't live very long, but it seems like it's being pretty successful.
No, it's very successful, and it does have battle passes. That's what it was. We were talking about battle passes. It was one of our first episodes, and I said that ironically, the only battle pass I might get is for Hot Wheels Racing.
That is so funny. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
But it's in my opinion, I've played a lot of Mario Kart in my life, and it is so hard to get a kart racer that feels as good as Mario Kart without being a knockoff of it. And you just compare it to Mario Kart the whole time, saying, "Oh, this is just Mario Kart. This is like just a worse version of Mario Kart." I don't feel that at all with this game. This game makes you want to play it, and there's that skill barrier, like you said. This is not a party game. You're absolutely right. It's not a party game. This is a game. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just to piggyback off of that. The game's outstanding, and visually, I love to look at this game. I don't know how to describe it, but I love its art style. I love, number one, I love that it's visually consistent with Crash 4, which I loved. I'm so glad that I played Crash 4 before I played this, because I have kind of like an emotional attachment to the Bandicoot now, if you will. All those
right.
So I'm glad that
from all those deaths.
Visually, from all those deaths, I know. It's like you have like that attachment to the character, because I didn't really play the Crash games when I was younger. So I can only imagine for people that, have the attachment to the character. But the animations are really good too in this game. For all the different characters, they all have their different little thing that they do when they're, when they're using their items and things like that. They're kind of, flipping each other off, if you will, whatever you want to call it. And Mario does that too, but I think this game actually does it better. Like the character models look better. I like it, man. I think it's really cool. Talking about it like this makes me want to go play it again.
Yeah, me too. I actually want to download it, and it's one of those games that like always lived on my hard drive. That I would always. And that doesn't happen. I don't say that about a lot of games. I think I ended up deleting it eventually for some reason, but it was one of those games where I was like, I can't delete this because I'm always going to want to go in for sort of like Tetris effect, which is still on my hard drive. It's one of those games that never leave.
It's just such a shame that the game, and it's not a detriment to the game, that it's, like you said, it's not one of those games that I could have 4 people over my house and say, all right, we're going to go play some Crash Team Racing.
No.
It's too hard to master. It wouldn't work.
No,
and it's such a shame, but it's not a problem with the game itself.
But
it's just
it doesn't mean the game wouldn't be. It doesn't mean the game wouldn't be fun locally. It's like it would be like playing Smash. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Not everybody's going to be good at, but it's more like that than it is like let my little cousin play.
This game would be really hard if you're younger. My goodness. From what I played, at least, it'd be really difficult. So, man, oh man.
I don't have a lot of
Crash 4 is tremendously brutal, and that's almost looks like a kid's game, but it's not.
Right.
So I suppose that's just in line with the IP itself.
I don't have a lot of memories of the original. I know I played it. I don't know if I owned it, but I know I played it. I think maybe like
I never played it.
Like I think maybe Aunt Lori had it. I think maybe she did, or someone in our family had it, and I played it once because the PlayStation 1 was like the hottest console, and but I didn't. I played it a couple times, but I didn't experience what I experienced when I played it again, which was an excellent campaign that was just about as close as you can get to Diddy Kong Racing, which is I think the best kart racer game campaign of all time. This one's right up there. So I can't wait for you to report back, Vinny. And I also can't wait for you to check the tape and realize how you didn't listen to me, because I 100% compared it to Diddy Kong Racing.
Check the tape. Vinny, the one thing that I'm asking you to do, you don't even have to don't touch the multiplayer online component. Don't touch the local multiplayer component. Literally the only 2 things that I played. Literally only go into the campaign.
I can't wait to pull it, because I might pull it like live on air for the next episode, just to make you, just to embarrass the hell out of you.
Yeah,
but
Oh
man, that is it for this episode of the PS Blue podcast. Vinny, do you have anything else to say to these fine people?
No. Everybody enjoy your night. Stay safe out there.